Hello, my name is Sandra from Crafts of Ireland, and I am looking forward to showing you how to make one of our needle felted pictures. And the one we're looking at today is Waiting for the Whistle. So this picture is a nice Irish country rural scene, and we've got our little collie in it as well, waiting for the call for to go after the sheep. So we have all our fibres here, and we're going to show you exactly how this picture is made. So do join us, and I hope you enjoy our video. So the first thing we're going to do is I've looked at the picture and I've chosen all the different colours of fibre that we're going to use. So we've blue for the sky, some white to mix through for the clouds, natural grey for the stone walls, and a very nice selection of greens to give the different tones that's through it. Some black for our dog, and again some white for the hairs around his neck. Some bluey grey fibres for the hills in the distance, a little bit of a heathery pink. I have a darker green to put in some hedgerows, and then we can add some flowers to the front if we want to do that. So we're going to start by making the sky, and again I have my trusty little crafty sheep here to help me hold all the needles, which I find really useful. Just keeps your needles safe when you are not using them. The first thing I've done is I've taken a section of the blue, and to that I am going to add a little bit of white. I'm going to open both of them out and then blend them together by pulling the fibres out and laying them back. And you can see the way the white is blending nicely through the blue to give us some cloud in the sky. Put the fibres down and just gently pull them across the felt. We can add more cloud, or we can change the colour of the sky very easily by adding more or less of the blue or white. So it's just going to give us some cloud movement. And take a needle. So we have a wool blend fabric is what I'm using in the background for this one. Our cushion underneath protects our needles, and the needles that I normally use are a medium needle 36333, which is a triangular needle. And very quickly there we're going to get that put together. It's one little bald spot here in the center, so we have the option of going with extra white cloud, and that will cover it over nicely. Give us a little bit of movement in the sky as well. That's the first part finished. Just be careful of your fingers and always use your needle straight up and straight down. If you do that with your needle, it won't break. If you try to lift fibres, put any pressure on your needle, they have a weak point and they will break. And you can see where all the fibres have come through to the back. So that's our first part, that's the sky. So this picture originally was created during a demonstration. So I'm going to try and show you exactly what I used again. So we have some hills in the background. I've picked initially kind of a soft grey-blue colour. Now we're going to wrap them in to the background. And we'll put a matching one on this side. It's slightly more grey. We might take a little bit of our natural Shetland. And even if we wanted to, this time of year the colours are changing, we can put a tiny little bit of a rusty greeny fibre colour through it as well. Move all them together. I'm just going to curve them into the shape of the hill. And I always work the outlines first. It's easy. I find it easier that way. If you felt in your outlines, it's easier to get your shape and then felt in the direction that you want to work. There we go. We've got our hills, and this one we can lighten it up slightly as well if we want. And to do that, you just lay another colour lightly over it. bottom, if you lay the colours light enough, the bottom colours will actually come through as well. So you'll get a nice blend. And I think that's pretty near our original one. So next we're going to start coming in with our softer colours. I'm just after coming back from a trip to Connemara in the west of Ireland, and the colours were absolutely gorgeous. Plenty of these rustic greeny colours that we have dyed. This wool is all dyed from our own native Irish rare breed sheep, and we do all the dyeing ourselves, and that's what we include in our kits, and it gives the most amazing natural colours because we dye our fibres to reflect the Irish landscape. Roscommon sheep were one of the earliest native breeds. They were first recognised in Ireland in the 1700s. They were established as a breed in the 1800s and were exported worldwide from Ireland. And unfortunately, because they were very large sheep and wool was no longer a popular commodity in the early 1900s, they lost favour with farmers to the stage that they almost became extinct. But luckily, we've managed in 2018 to find a small flock with the remnants of them. We purchased some from that farmer and we've been breeding them since. And at this stage, there's quite a number of breeders, and we're almost back to the stage of having the breed re-established and recognised by our Department of Agriculture as an Irish sheep breed. And their wool is fantastic for needle felting. Now, as you can see, I'm just working in some hills and background into this. So I just lay down. I don't do much with the fibre because the way that it's dyed, I don't have to do a lot with it. I can just take it in sections, and there's variation in the colours. I don't have to blend or anything with it because it has already been done in the dyeing process. So that is the background done. At that stage, I'm going to add some hedges, and they're going in a darker green colour. And put a line of darker green to break up the background. And then we're going to come in with some of our softer greens. And I like to blend as I go and not do too dramatic of a colour change. So I'll take a little bit of this one to come with me as well. Blend it slightly more. And quickly just stabbing in fibres. I'm going to come back and add stone walls and other features later. Each time we dye, we do end up with different colours, so no picture is ever going to be exactly the same as the last one we made. We do have some nice brighter greens here. In a picture, you'll always have the brightest colours to the front. Sometimes we dye the colours, we look at them and wonder if they're going to be effective. And this was one of them that we wondered about, should we change the colour? But I think for this picture, it's going to work perfectly. every so often just give your fabric a little lift and take it from we're going to see where we're going with this next. And slightly change the colour of that section. It's the west of Ireland, so we need plenty of stone walls. Now I'm going in with Shetland grey, which I find to be natural greys work much better for stone walls than dyed colours. And as they disappear, they're thinner, and as they come nearest to us, they get thicker. So you can see where we've kind of almost a vanishing point. And on the other picture, we did put in some additional greens. So in the west of Ireland, you would have some forest, which is mainly evergreens. And we'll put in a little section to represent that. Just running along the top and outlining to break up the fields. So you can see how we're travelling down the picture. Now we have to add some more stone wall. There's a wall going to come in from the right hand side. Irish stone walls are not exactly even in construction. So if you kind of crunch it up as you go along, and that's going to disappear up into our forest. Tidy up our field. Now we're breaking it into sections. You can see the way I've left stone wall slightly uneven, a tiny bit to finish it off over here. The next big feature in this picture is our stone wall. So I'm going to, again, bunch up my fibres to give that sense of depth, so I can lay down some together, not felt at all evenly, and give some depth and texture to it. And I want to change up the colours a bit. So if you look through fleece, normally there's varying shades. And we don't want the top of our wall nice and even and regular either. We want it to meander up and down a little bit. Could be a few stones missing. And then we're going to put where the dog is going to sit on it. We're going to give the dog his perch. And there's a piece there that will take in two sections. And I'm going to a little bit of detail here. We can put in an individual rock. And I want somewhere that the dog can sit, so we'll raise a piece here as well. Again, I'm working around to leave it raised, and we'll bring it gradual drop then back to the other section of the wall. I'm going to put a mount on this now, and we'll have a look and see how we're doing. Okay, so there we go. We have a lot of it in place, and that is how our picture is looking at the moment. Quite happy with that. It's useful to have an old mount for your work so that you can get an idea of how a picture is looking. It's much easier to put a mount over it. It gives better perspective. I'm just flattening down some of that. And I like the way the tones and colours are coming through it. So the next thing is, if it is kind of this time of year, you're autumny, the heather is starting to appear as well. So you can pick an area wherever you want and just put the tiniest wisp of purple over it. Heather is almost just like a gauze of colour, just a mist of purple. So you're opening it up really lightly and just adding a tiny bit to give that little bit of detail. And there we go, that's that added. What I'm going to do as well is just highlight some of the walls slightly as well. So if I take a little bit of the black fibre and just work it carefully into where I've left some of the gaps on the wall. The other thing you can add to your wall, of course, and I haven't done it in the original, I have actually added a little bit of moss. I'll put a little bit of mosses and greens through the wall. There's some vegetation coming up. And there we go. So that is almost finished. We just have to add some tiny sheep in the distance and then put in our collie dog. So we'll do the sheep first. I have some white. These sheep are very small. We'll make them too big. Our dog will have to be very big, so we're just going to put in tiny dots of white in the distance on that field and put in 4 or 5 of them. And we call this picture Waiting for the Whistle. So our sheepdog is sitting waiting for the farmer, give it the call to go and round up the sheep. Some white little dots. Again, using tiny bits of fibre. Don't need to roll them up into a tight ball or anything. You can do that with your needle. You can work them around into the field. And we'll add 5. And on some of them we'll put some heads. Some of them could be faced away, so you're not going to see their head. We'll add 2 or 3 heads to it. Again, we're taking the smallest bit of black fibre and just putting it in front of the little white blob. So obviously the head is going to be much smaller than the body, and we'll do this one as well. And that's our sheep in our field in the distance. So now all we have left to do is our collie dog. And that's the great thing about making a collie dog from the back. Our shape is rather simple. So it's almost like a triangular shape with the ears, and then we put the tail out to the side. So I'm going to place the dog here in this picture, and I'm going to take some dark fibre. We can use chocolate brown, we can use black, open it up first. And I'm going to make that shape that I want. So that's roughly the shape of our dog. So that's what's going to sit on the wall. And his bum tucked down between the two stones. I don't want felt his body too flat. I want to leave some shape. Coming up, it gets narrower for his neck. And then we're going to put in its ears. And I have a little bit surplus on this ear, so I'm just going to take a scissors and cut it out. This ear seems to be okay. So that's how quickly you make shape for the back of a dog. Once we take some white, and again just make it so that's a little bit of white on the back of our collie's neck, like a little scarf on it. Just tuck it in. You can add a little bit more. A little bit more shape to it rather than having it in a complete straight line. I just brought a bit downwards as well. And we'll put a tiny bit of white on the top of its head. I'm just going to stick in a little bit there. Again, scissors is very handy just to clip away bits that we don't need. Now, every dog needs a tail. So get a little bit of black. I'm just going to roll it into the shape of a tail. Connect it to its bum. And bring it out on the wall. And most collie dogs have a white tip on their tail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through our fibre. Because it has been open and carded, I can find a nice little white tip. And that's going to be our dog's tail. Just tidy up any parts. I'm sure when you're doing this, you'll have a little bit more time to work on all the details. And very quickly, there's our picture waiting for the whistle. So there we go. Very quickly, I've shown you how to make our needle felted kit picture called Waiting for the Whistle with our collie dog sitting on the wall. I hope you enjoyed our video, and we look forward to you joining us for more videos here on YouTube. Please do give us a follow and give us a like, and thank you very much for watching.